హెచ్ఐసిసిలో హైసియా ఆధ్వర్యంలో బ్రాండ్ హైదరాబాద్ కార్యక్రమంలో మంత్రి కేటీఆర్ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. లైవ్ లో చూద్దాం.
We had that very open dialogue, a very informal dialogue with multiple business houses, business groups in Telangana, and therefore you see more than 23% of the investment that we got in the last 6 years has come from existing investors. And more importantly, I think what is a testimony to Telangana's strength today is out of the 2 lakh crores of investment that have come in the last 6 years, like I said, 23% has come from existing investors. And out of these 2 lakh crores, more than 80% actually has been converted into operational. So meaning they have operationalized and not only have expressed an intent but also have delivered on the promise. Now this is very important from a state perspective, because even I could do a fantastic summit, investment summit here in HICC and announce that we have gotten 8 lakh crores of rupees of investments signed in the form of MOUs. But how much of it really gets translated depends on the government's intent, depends on the government's keenness to listen, understand, and ensure that the promises are delivered. Now that's exactly what Telangana government has done under the leadership of our dynamic Chief Minister. That's exactly why I believe the city continues to attract more and more business.
Wonderful. Let me just go back in the history, sir. In June of 2014, after you just took over as the first IT minister, you had actually, arranged for a meeting with IT industry leaders in Taj Krishna. I'm sure you must be, very clearly remembering this. Many of the IT leaders here were also, part of that delegation. You kind of, articulated and you made a presentation about your vision for IT industry, right? As you rightly said about Bangalore and why is that we're lagging behind? Why can't we be the number one, right? So we could understand your vision, right, for Hyderabad as to how we want to grow it. From 2014, the exports revenues are about close to 57,000 and odd. And today, you promised that it will just be doubled in about 5 years. So in 2020, we sit here with the numbers of 1,28,000 crores, which is an incredible achievement, right? And the HICIA, the industry, we've really, feel pride to take, the step that, okay, we are also the partners in progress, right? And this achievement definitely would not have been possible unless otherwise we had a great amount of initiatives coming from you, right? And interventions from the government and the initiatives that you've taken and the vision that you had, how it's translated into action. So I want to just hear from you as to, I'm sure a lot of hard work has gone in. Just want to understand it, at least in the interest of the audience. We want to hear from you as to how did you, translate that vision to action and into reality.
Bernie, there's, again, I'm not trying to be modest, but the fact is, IT industry is an industry which, doesn't really require a lot from the government other than 2-3 things. 1, skilled manpower. 2, progressive policies. And 3, of course, law and order. These are the 3 important things which go into attracting IT industry. Now, in the last 5 years, when we said, it may have sounded audacious when we said initially that the current IT exports will be doubled in 5 years. Initially, it was, I think, 57,000 crores to be precise, back in 2014-15. To where it is now 128,000. It might have sounded audacious then, but without a question, Hyderabad, had that potential in itself. And secondly, combine that with your abilities to ensure that Hyderabad is marketed properly on a global stage.
Right.
Focus on innovation, focus on ensuring that even emerging technologies are harnessed properly here. And again, I might sound repetitive, progressive and able leadership. These are the things that really go into attracting, some marquee names. Today, the most valued technology companies in the world, all top 5, have, without an exception, made Hyderabad their second home in the world for their largest base.
Absolutely.
Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft. See, the credit again goes to the city and its enabling ecosystem and to the fantastic manpower that we have in Hyderabad. Without a question, government, of course, has been a facilitator, has been an enabler, but I think bulk of the credit should go to our youngsters, to our people who have actually, moved, who've been working here, who've really given the confidence to these investors to come in, set shop, to be able to find the talent right here. For example, Micron, a large company. Initially, when Sanjay Mehrotra came here, he said, I'm looking to hire about 2,500 people. I'll be, investing a certain sum. But then he tells me later, within 6 months or I think 8 months, He tells me, I think I'm going to quadruple, not even double or triple. Now that is the power of Hyderabad, that is the power of our people, to be able to ensure that we offer global solutions at scale, you know, to the world, not just to our own.
By the way, Micron is going to be the single largest SEZ in Telangana. That's
Yes.
the kind of promise they've made.
I think they deserve a big round of applause, guys. They are the single largest SEZ in Telangana, and I think all of that has happened in the last 2 years, so kudos to them.
Absolutely. I think you said it so well, sir. I think it's all going to be a collaborative effort, right, with the government being an enabler, and the industry also is working, and the ecosystem has been developed so well that I think, we are in a, not really a self-sustainable mode, but I think with the government intervention, we certainly could just take that big leap forward. So if you look at the overall investment that are actually coming into Telangana, right, as compared to the rest of the states, particularly the FDI, right, we certainly see a lot happening in Telangana, particularly for Hyderabad. And as you rightly said, progressive government is very important, and the government policies are also very, very important. And for example, this recently announced Amazon's 2.77 billion investment, the largest data center, right, is absolutely, I would say, a phenomenal and incredible kind of a news for the industry during the pandemic, to just a shot in the arm for us, right? And this happens just not like a simple statement given by Amazon CEO saying that, okay, we're going to invest 2.77 billion here, right? I'm sure behind the scenes, a lot of, effort, hard work, focused strategy must have gone in, right? I definitely would say that, I've said it to my lot of industry peers, that you acted as a CEO and the chief marketing officer and the chief sales officer. You done that had many times. You went to Davos and you went to, California, you went to Silicon Valley, wherever it is, name the place. You've been just, like say, donning that cap and then going there, doing all that stuff, right? So at least in the interest of the audience understanding, they should know as to how do you diligently pursue and the kind of perseverance that you or your government, right, puts in to be able to get these investments. And conversion ratio, one more point that I would like to mention. Investments could come, right? They would just make some statements, okay? But converting them to real, actual investments, the ratio, Telangana is rated very high, 40%, as compared to the national average of 23-24%, based on my limited analysis. But that's a huge success factor too, in terms of attracting investment. So how is that made possible?
Bunny, a lot of times, in fact, a decision, an investment decision, particularly when it gets announced, there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. In fact, with Amazon, if you think about it, our relationship started about 6 years ago. In the initial days, when Amazon was looking to set up a fulfillment center, a basic fulfillment center, they chose Bangalore first. In fact, they had come to us because these were the days in 2014 when e-commerce was still not very well understood by the tax authorities. The local commercial taxes people, the value-added tax back then which existed, the VAT regime. They had come to us, Amazon officials, initially trying to understand how Telangana is looking at the whole e-commerce gamut. And when we gave them the confidence that Telangana really understands e-commerce and its potential and how we are going to be friendly in terms of, ensuring that our tax authorities, the local state tax authorities, will deal with them, because it's a learning process, So we will work together is what we promised them.
Absolutely.
They were really, really